Hello you all and welcome back to Living Unveiled with Maddie. Recently I went with a few friends from church to watch a movie in the theater called I Can Only Imagine 2. We had actually planned the evening as part of something intentional. We had been talking about self-care, slowing down, and taking a break from the usual pressure of life, just enjoying a simple night out with the girls. So the plan was simple: watch a movie, relax, laugh a little, eat some popcorn, go shopping, and then head home. We went in excited. But when we came out, something had changed. No one was talking loudly anymore. No one was making jokes. We walked out quiet, sober, and reflective. And I remember looking around in the theater and realized that all of us had tears in our eyes. Because that movie preached many sermons in one sitting. It reminded us that some of the songs that move our hearts the most were not written in comfort. They were written in pain, in struggle. They were written in moments where someone had to decide whether their faith would survive the storm. And that made me start thinking about something that many believers do not often consider. There are songs in the Christian faith that were not just written with ink. Some of these songs were written in tears, in loss. Most of these songs were written in what I tag blood. The Bible speaks often about something we don't always like to talk about: the testing of our faith. James writes it this way: "Consider it pure joy, my brothers and my sisters, whenever you face many trials of many kind, because you know that the testing of your faith produces perseverance." James 1:2-3. Notice something about that verse. It does not say if trials come. It says when. Because faith, if it is real, will eventually be tested. And sometimes the testing reveals something very uncomfortable. Sometimes we discover that the faith we thought was strong was actually very fragile. Sometimes we discover that our relationship with God was built more on comfort than conviction. One of the most powerful examples of tested faith is the hymn "It Is Well With My Soul." The man who wrote it is called Horatio. He experienced tragedy that most people cannot imagine. He had lost his businesses in the Chicago fire, and then came another blow. His wife and 4 daughters were traveling across the Atlantic when their ship collided with another vessel. 4 of his daughters drowned. Only his wife survived. Later, as Horatio sailed across the ocean to meet his grieving wife, the captain of the ship pointed to the place where his daughters had died. Take a moment and imagine that moment. Standing over the waters that swallowed your children, standing in the middle of grief that most human hearts would struggle to survive. And it was in that moment that the words came: "When sorrows like sea billows roll, whatever my lot thou hast taught me to say, it is well with my soul." Because these words may sound beautiful today when we sing them in church. When you understand the story behind them, they become something else entirely. That is not a song written from comfort. That is a declaration of faith in the middle of devastation. I'll tell you another song, "Born in Blood." Another hymn many believers sing today: "I have decided to follow Jesus." And many people do not know the story connected to it. According to tradition, the words trace back to a man in Assam, India, who converted to Christianity through missionary work. When the authorities demanded that he renounce his faith, he refused. His family, his wife, and 3 children were executed in front of him. He was given another chance to deny Christ and save his life. but instead he declared something that history would forever remember. He said, "Though none go with me, still I will follow." He too was executed. And the declaration that came from that moment eventually became the hymn we sing so happily today. I have decided to follow Jesus. No turning back, no turning back. Again, a song born in suffering, born in conviction, born in faith that refused to break. And this is where the conversation becomes uncomfortable. Because when we look at much of modern Christianity, something feels different. Today, many people believe that attending church regularly guarantees them a place in heaven. But Jesus never taught that. In fact, Jesus gave his followers something much bigger than attendance. He gave them the Great Commission. Go therefore and make disciples of all nations. Matthew 28 verse 19. That is work. That is mission. And that is purpose. Christianity was never meant to be a passive experience where we sit comfortably and simply absorb message. It was meant to be a life lived for the gospel. Now, listen, when Jesus called his disciples, he did not hide the cost from them. He told them plainly, "In this world you will have trouble." John 16 verse 33. He warned them. He said, "If the world hates you, keep in mind that the world hated me first." John 15:18. And then he told them something even more sobering. "Whoever wants to be my disciple must deny themselves and take up their cross and follow me." Matthew 16:24. A cross is not a symbol of comfort or platforms, heels and perfumes. A cross is a symbol of sacrifice. And history tells us that most of his disciples died for their faith. Peter was crucified, Paul executed, James killed by the sword. These were not people who followed Jesus casually. They followed him to the end. And this is where this message becomes very personal for you and I. Because eventually, every believer will face a moment where their faith is tested. Maybe not by persecution or by martyrdom, but by something that reveals what is really inside your heart. And when that moment comes, the question becomes, will your faith stand when life shakes you? When prayer becomes unanswered? When obedience costs you something very costly? When standing for the truth isolates you? Will you say those words that you sing so happily today? It is well with my soul. Will you still say, I have decided to follow Jesus? The Bible actually warns us, and many will not endure. Paul writes it this way in 2 Thessalonians 2:3. He said that day will not come unless the falling away comes first. Jesus also said in Matthew 24:12, he said, because of the increase of wickedness, the love of many will grow cold. Faith that survives difficult seasons cannot be built on routine alone. It must be built on the relationship with God. This is why scripture gives us very clear counsel. He said in Jude 1:20, he said, but you, beloved, building yourself up on your most holy faith. Listen, you must know God for yourself. Not just about him, not just attend gatherings, not just repeat familiar songs. You must truly walk with God. Because when storms come, and they will come, only faith that is rooted deeply in God will remain standing. Paul writes something more in Ephesians chapter 6 verse 13. He said, after you have done everything, stand. Stand when faith is easy. Stand when faith is costly. Stand when others walk away. Stand when the pressure rises. Because the songs written in blood remind us of something powerful. That faith is not proven when life is comfortable. Faith is proven when the storm comes and your soul is still able to sing. It is well with my soul. Until next time, stay unveiled.